This should be live now. Hello. I am just gonna post a link to some places. Is it live? Refresh this. Yes. There it is. Oh, I made some feedback. Sunday stream. Doing a Sunday stream. Yeah, very good. Maybe I'll put it on the Twitterers also. Like that. Yeah. Okay, excellent. So hello and welcome to my little Sunday stream, and minimize this thing. So last time I'll run the game here. Let's see what the status is of things. The status. Yeah, so last time we made this NPC here. That's like it's a tree that's very sad and grumpy. And what I need from this tree is to make it so that it... Let's see here. So this tree has flower instead of leaves. And with flower I mean the thing you bake with, not a flower. So it's the flower tree. Right. And... you will get a little quest from your friend over here. If your friend will say like, oh, can you please get me the ingredients I need from my pancakes? And then one of the things you would need to do is get flour, and then you'll be like, oh, I need to go back to this tree over here. And you will talk to it, and it will be like, okay, I know you can't have my flour. But what you need to do is find a mallet and smack it with, and then all the flour will fall off. So I want to do that stuff today, like, so you somehow can interact with this thing, make the white stuff fall off, and it all falls on top of the cat, and the cat gets covered in flour, and then you sort of walk away. But before I do any of that, I have to go blow my nose. There we go. I realized maybe on the stream I wonder if the little icon is on top of my video all the time. I'm gonna look for 2 seconds on my laptop on the stream. Dun 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 dun. So I realized last time that having the video in the top right is not so good, because a lot of the UI in my editor is in the top right. So it's a bit messy. Yeah, there's a stupid cat is there constantly. It doesn't matter much, but so there's a little icon in the lower right of the video. Let's see, can I fix that somehow? Can I fix that somehow? No. Uh-huh. I'm not sure. Actually, maybe I've seen this setting sometime. It's a setting that says when to show the little icon in the corner of the thing. I think I found it. Ah, okay. It's always like that in a live stream. It's only on videos that this watermark in the bottom right corner is. Ah, it doesn't matter much. It can be there. Anyways, so I am going to do a few different things here. Start some chat on my laptop so I can see things. Dun, 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 dun. There we go. Okay, so I can restart all this. So last time, like I said, we made it so that you can talk to this tree. I made the whole tree last time. It doesn't have any fancy shading yet in the graphics, but I will do that in like a second pass rather than do everything nicely now. You can talk to it and it says some funny stuff. And I think if you go and talk to the squirrel first, we go over here. If you go and talk to the squirrel first, and then the squirrel is like gonna make pancakes, and then you say, okay, can I help you? Where can I find flower? And it says the flower tree. So you're like, okay. And we run there. Okay. Yeah, now we have this option because there's like a state flag that it's set that you have talked to the squirrel, and this tree is grumpy. So there's two things I need to do here. I need to get an item that's like a mallet. So you're supposed to hit the tree with a mallet so all the flower falls off. And other than that, I need to make the animation with all these sort of falling down and making a pile here. So that's what I'm gonna do. Which one do I start with though? Maybe I start with the item. Maybe I start with the item. So we need like a... How do the other items look? Other items are like... like the butter, for example. It's just like this little box and then you get it and now it's in your inventory. It's down here. So maybe we do something similar. 16 by 16 pixels. And... how does that like something like this? It's like a wooden mallet thingy. Maybe it should be the other way around actually. Like this maybe. Then we put something like that. You can Google always. Yeah, many of these are like round. These are like small clubs. I'm more thinking of a sledgehammer, I guess, actually. But nah, I think it'd be fine like that. It's just some kind of thing to strike it with. Something like that. Maybe we move this whole thing down a bit. Not overthink this right now. What to call this? This is the mallet. So, although I think it's too big probably, because the cat is like 16 by 16 pixels. Maybe that's fun though, that it's quite big. Yeah, so now we need to add the mallet in somehow. Which is always a pain in my current system. Pickup type. So I add the pickup type, and then it will force me to do some there will be some compile alerts because of that, because there's lots of switches where things need to be handled. Yeah, but there's two places I need to do this. So one is to add, what I just did now was I added it to the pickup type enum. This is all the kinds of pickups, but I also must add it as an entity type. So I go here and type mallet. These are like code defined types, and all the pickups are code defined. And then you get lots of compile errors. You just have to go through them and fix it. So I would love to make this a bit smoother, but I don't think there's too much things to change to make it a bit smoother, so I'm just letting it be for now. What's this called? It's a pickup. And this is this is for NPCs. We do not need to care about this. And this is for pickups. So we need to care about this. This is the code that sets the graphics for a pickup and sets the type of pickup. So if your entity type is mallet, then your pickup type is also mallet. And your texture is mallet. Then we go down here. This is the unique ID. String to UID mallet. This is the unique ID that's used to save things on disk from the editor. This is just some crap that's used for initializing stuff in the editor. And this is what's this? Oh yeah, this is for placing in the editor. I think actually what I'm gonna do is do a partial switch here, and then I'm gonna do a case like this, so I no longer need to add that. Quite often I quite often like when you're forced to implement the switch cases, because then you can't accidentally, then when you're done, like you add something to an enum and after a while you're done with implementing it and you start the game, it all just works. But in some cases there is a nice standard behavior, like in this case, like this is the standard code for placing stuff in the editor, and I don't have that many. It's only for colliders and triggers that I have a second method for doing that. Okay, let's see if I can. It's probably this one. Why doesn't this texture get loaded? Like if I restart, I betcha it's there. Yeah, there it is. Unclear. So let's put this down somewhere here. Just for testing purposes, we will put it here, maybe. Can run over here. We can pick it up, and now it's here. Now I need some way to use this with the tree. And there's a couple of things that I need to implement. This might actually be more of inventory management things. So I want it so that if you press the use button while you don't have anything to use it with, the cat will say something about the item you currently, the slot you currently marked. Currently there's only one item in the inventory. That's sort of like the examine, you know, in adventure games you have like, you can examine stuff in your inventory. I wanted to just make that a bit smoother, so there's like a super simple interface on the screen, just a few items. You can look at the different ones. So I'm gonna make that now, so you can press a button to use item. And I don't think I have. Yeah, there is this use, but this is the use button for talking to people. I have an idea here that maybe you have your inventory here, and it's like a couple of different actions that your character can do. So maybe there's only one use button, right? And the talk is one of the sort of inventory things, which I guess is like a skill. So there will be like a talk bubble here, and you can switch to the mallet, and it's always the same use button, because then you only have 2 keys for cycling between your different inventory things or whatever. It's not really an inventory, it's more like actions, where some of the actions are things. And so then if I don't have the speak thing here, then this will instead show like the picture of the thing that I currently have selected in inventory here, so that I try to use it with that thing in the world, which is nice and simple, but also educates the player a bit, you know, how to play the game. Yes, so let's maybe do that. Then I want then it's getting a bit weird, of course, because I call these pickup types, but actually it's more like actions, the different actions when you pick something up. One action you can do is use that item, but you can also do like talk instead. The reason I want, but I think I should do that first, because otherwise I have to do lots of special code. Like I don't want to have to implement 2 different use keys. Currently I would have to like, oh, there's one use key for talking and one for using the inventory. So I'm gonna start with putting this into here. Yeah. So maybe I'll start with just, I'm just gonna add these things to Git first. Mallet graphics and entity type, something like that. And then we go to pickup type. So these are the different pickup types. And in the game state, the game memory, I mean, you have your inventory currently somewhere here. Somewhere here. It's at the bottom. Here is the inventory. And the inventory is currently a set of items. And then you have a selected item. maybe I'll start with adding in the speech stuff, and then I'll rename this code, because it's a bit weird if it's if it is called inventory with pickups and stuff. When what I want, one of these I want is like talk, like that. Maybe maybe there needs to be 2 levels to this. Maybe you have I think it should be like this. You have what's presented at the bottom of the screen is different actions you can do, and one of those actions is use inventory item. Then I can keep the inventory like it is, but I can also I can keep the inventory like it is, but I can also add the talk stuff. So let's try doing that instead. Where is inventory.items? Where is that code? Somewhere. This draws the inventory, yes. So currently there's like an inventory selection combined with like you pressing the use key or something. But what I want instead is for you to select a couple of different like actions. And should those actions live in memory somewhere, or are they just in code? I think I'll do something like this. I think I will make a action is a struct. Wait, I already have a struct called action, I think. Yeah. Because that's that action is for, there's another action struct for doing things in conversations, I think. No, it's for doing, you can interact with things, and then it has a list of actions that thing does. So anyways, let's call this maybe let's maybe call it because this one is called action. Does it matter if I do this? No, it doesn't. Okay, we're gonna remove talk from there, and then we're gonna say an action, it has an enum called action type, which can be use item, talk. Those are the 2 currently ones. Action type. Item is a pickup type. So in case you have item, so in case this one is use item, then this one says switch item. And then we make actions is make a dynamic array of action using the temp allocator. And then we need to add some actions. So we say append to actions, action type equals talk. like that. So now we added talk. Only question is how to choose between the different currently the inventory has like a selected item, but I don't want that. I want it to be like, where does it actually use? Oh, there is no use button yet. But where is this code? Yeah, it's at the bottom of the draw stuff, I think. Okay. Gonna make something like this. Gonna say something like get me all the actions, and that returns a dynamic action that is temp allocated. So let's call this the player action. It's the player action type. Fetch all the, so this one will return this list. I append by default is only talk in there, and then it will also add one for every inventory item. And then you can say get all player actions. And let's remove this stuff for now. And then we say for we loop over all the actions, and we switch on the, what's it called? A dot type. Yeah. And we say case dot use item. Case dot talk. Right. And then we can comment out all this code, I think. We can say this is the texture it should use. Take this code and put here. This is the code for drawing this stuff. Yeah. So we remove that for now. This is the selection. Put that there. I just want to draw it for starters. Like that. And then we need an icon for this. There is, I can do, for now I can do something like this. What's it called? Talk icon. Assets. Interact icon talk. Try that. Using the wrong type there. Then we need to return actions here. Okay, now something might happen. Okay. This is not drawing anything anymore. Ah. There you go. Now there's a talk icon in there. Looks sort of like a Twitch logo or something. Okay. And then we can also go. We can also in get all player actions. We can also go over the inventory and add in all these guys. This will just be append actions player action type equals use item and item is I. Oh. Do something like that. Now we see something more appeared here. Should be the mallet, but yeah, it's not currently fetching the texture for that, is it? Nope. Let's take this code, put in here, switch a.item, should appear now. Yes. Move this stuff. No, that I can keep because I need a selection at some point. Remove that stuff. Now I need to add, so I need to be able to cycle between these. And then we're gonna add so that whatever is chosen here appears here as the sort of interact icon. So check. Right. So I have this guy and this guy. The coffee has ran out. Sadness. Okay, let's add a selection. Let's add a selection now. So we need to do the selection slightly differently now. Because before the selection was just an int. Now I think the selection should be like a player action. So it's like it's just like it says like is it talk or use item, and if everything in it matches, then it's a match. So it's more of a, and this should not be here. This is just inventory. It should more be like maybe somewhere here. Very good. Jättebra. So we're still gonna need a selected index. So we're gonna see something like this. for a in a, then selected idx is a. So this is just to, because the reason I'm doing the selected action here with a whole struct object is because I'm generating these every frame, you know, but I can still know within this array which one of the selected one do I currently have selected. So then I do something like this, break. So now I know which of these is it that I have selected. And then I can go in here and I can also selected is just if idx so if selected index is the index, then hello xclone. I am currently I have this little inventory in the corner here, and I want to make it so that when you stand next to an NPC, whatever is chosen in this inventory down here is the action you can do, because currently you can only talk, but I want to be able to do different actions. So I've added the speech bubble down here, and I have some other items here. So currently I'm adding the selection, so you can cycle between these. There can be like a bunch of items and actions down here. So I'm adding that. Let's see. Oh yeah, this stuff is the selection outline. Now this one should probably light up. Yes, I can't cycle between them yet because the code up here is not selected. Is commented out. I probably have to do this a bit weirdly now, because before I could just like, oh, if you press one of these keys, then it moves the selection forward or backward. But now I need to compare the current selected action with the one in this array. So we go down here. So if selected, you press A. Starting to regret that I did this as a struct. Maybe I can use it. Yeah, I'm just gonna use an index. What the hell? It's much better than all this crap. Because then I can just do this, remove all this. That's how it is all the time with doing programming, I think, that you start doing something and like, oh, but it should be done this way because reasons, and then you just suddenly change your mind, because now I just have an int and it will be an index of these, even though these are generated each frame. It doesn't matter if I'm out of bounds or something, I'll just reset it to 0 or something. Okay, actually I will undo some of these things. Do I still have that? No. So we'll do this, and then I will, yeah, now we'll add back this as an int, do like that. num actions is the length of all actions. So then if the selected action, I don't actually need this inventory thing here anymore, whatever. If the selected action is more than num actions, and the selected action will be the last one. That's just to make sure it doesn't go out of bounds. And then we will implement the A button. I will do it like this. pmem.selected action minus equals 1. And then if this one is less than 0, then we say that we can just loop around. So what I mean by loop around is if you go to the left when you have this one selected, then it will go to this one. So you can like cycle instead of getting stuck here when you try to go to the left, to the next item to the left, it will loop around. Then you will just do something like the action is length of num actions minus 1. Oh wait, length of num actions. No. And then the same here. We increase this thing. And then we say if pmem.selected action is bigger or equals to num actions, then it will be 0. Selected action equals 0. Very nice. So now we can go here and say like that. Oh, hit the mic. Sorry if it was like a boom in the hit the boom arm. Now I can cycle between this. I have currently bound to A and S. I'm gonna add like gamepad support and stuff later, and then I will have to abstract away some of the controller stuff. But now I can at least cycle between these two, and I can go to the. It's only two of them, so it doesn't really show up. But I can go to the left, and then it jumps to the last one instead of just getting stuck there. That's good. That's good. Okay. Now, I need somehow to use these actions. Let's see, when does this one render? Dot interact icon talk. When do you render? Okay. Yeah, so here is some code for it. Checks like, is there an interactable next to me? Is there something in range? So this code is like, oh, if there is something in range, then it draws the talk icon currently above it like this. However, I want to, I think maybe all this code will go. Where is this even? Where am I in draw world? Huh. I'm just thinking of how we're best to do this drawing, and then I also need to do the code for the interaction itself somewhere. How to figure this out? All this code is a bit of a mess, so I'm just trying to figure out a better way to do it. Get entity raw. So it goes through all the interactables and it checks if something is in range. Why does it loop over all the interactables even? Try something here. So, oh yeah, this is for checking if we're not in an interaction, and then if interactable in range is not entity handle none. Then we say that the interactable in range, this is just a handle to an entity. This code should still work, I think. I don't know why it looped overall. Yeah, it's not entity handle none. Yeah, so now it works. So this code now checks, is there an interactable next to me? And then I think that this code, I will just comment out for a bit. And I will say icon position is the entity position, which is the tree currently here, or whatever you're trying to pick up or something. The entity position plus a little vector here. It's just an offset. And then we will go to our if. So now we want to put the currently chosen action down here somehow. So to go to game and memory. Here somewhere I have my selected action. Oh yeah, we need to fetch all the actions. All actions is get all player actions. If gmem.selected action is less than length of all actions, then the action is all actions, that one. And then we just switch. Maybe we can make a little function here called yeah, take this stuff, I think, to fetch the texture of it. I probably need two different textures actually, but I probably need one texture for having down here and one for in the world, because you might notice that this doesn't even have, these should be of all of the same size. So this icon currently used here is bigger than allowed here, because you get like non-square pixels, it looks like, and stuff. So that's not so good. I keep looking at my coffee cup and being disappointed. So we take all this, get all player actions, get current player action, let's just do this. Get player action texture. No, paste that in there, and we say like that. Can make this a named return value. Then we return that. So then this does not need to happen. Then we can say the texture is texture for that one. And if the ID of the texture is not 0, which means that this actually fetched a valid texture, then maybe I'll try rendering it. The texture at the icon position. This is just a layer. We can actually increase that a bit. Layer. This is just so it doesn't end up behind things. Oh yeah, this one also needs to run text equals get player action texture A. So this thing here is just an entity handle. Handles are like just an index essentially, so you need to fetch it. So this fetches the actual struct that is an entity. Put that in there like that. Maybe now. Aha. Maybe this one can just do like this. So we return a texture handle instead. Same thing here. Texture handle is just a number that represents the texture. It's like an index. And these indices you can save in arrays and stuff for between frames. But you like the actual textures and the actual entities, you can't just save pointers to them and stuff. You must you can only save the handles. Okay, but this, okay, I see. Let's see here. This one draws it directly. Let's do like this. So this texture is valid, and then we just go down here and fix this. Text is not 0. Do this. Then we use a texture like this. So this function takes a texture handle and returns a proper texture. Oh. This might work. Yeah. Oh, well, that one. See, the talk icon appears, but in this case, the mallet does appear, but it's a very bad icon because it's has no outline, just blends with the colors. There's only 8 colors in the game right now, so you need outlines and stuff sometimes if it's supposed to be visible against all backgrounds. That's why the speech bubble is like that. Okay, that's good. Now we can do that. You can still talk to this one because I haven't changed what happens when you press the interact button yet. So let's go back to Sprite. I'm gonna add some borders to this. Then we'll add an outline using the in Sprite. You can press Shift O and it will pop open this thing that lets you make an outline. Yeah, now it's least visible. Should probably have the same outline color for all items and stuff, but we'll see. Okay. So now let's make it so that these actions actually do something. So that now, why am I wearing headphones? There's absolutely nothing in those headphones. Yeah, let's wire it up so that when you use this one, it does the talkies, and if you don't have that one selected, then currently doesn't do anything. But at least we're on our way to adding this kind of stuff. And I think it might be quite fun to do it like this. So, like, you know, many games have, you know, you have a gamepad and you have lots of different buttons to do different actions. But in this game, it will sort of more be like, oh, you have a bunch of actions that you can choose on the screen, and then an interact button, which sort of makes it a bit like an old school point and click game, like an adventure game, but it's like a 2D side scroller. Of course, some people may be like, well, but it's better, you know, user experience to have more buttons to press. So there's like one jump button and one like I still have the jump button, but you know, you could have several interact buttons, one for talk and one for use item and stuff. But I would just rather have jump, and then there's a like interact button or something, or like do action button, which does whatever is down here, and I can cycle between those. Okay. Let's see then, where is that use button? input.use. Yeah, so there's currently it's all a bit hacked together, like there's lots of different ways to this one. I should remove this carried item stuff doesn't exist anymore. I don't want to do that right now, so we'll just do so what I want to do here now is to just maybe we comment out all this crap and then we do something like if there's an interact let's do like this, get entity raw, so we don't, the normal get entity says that then you must specify what type it is, but I just want to say if there is an interactable in range. This is in the player code for interacting with stuff. Then we say interactable in range, and then we check if that one is not nil, because this one will return nil if the handle, the interactable in range handle, doesn't resolve to anything meaningful. Yeah, and then we check, did you press the use key? Okay. And then we'll have a switch here. This will be similar to this. So here we fetch all the actions you can do, and then we check that it's valid, that it's in range. Then we will switch type, switch a dot type. This should give us a, yes, it tells me which cases. Case dot use item, case dot talk. And we'll see here, how does the talking work? The entity will have a dialogue ID in that case. Let's try something like this. So the dialogue ID on the entity is not 0. Then we say start dialogue with this thing, with this dialogue ID. Do not need that. And then I have a broken something here. This one doesn't exist. Fetch the dialogue ID from the currently closest interactable entity. And now if I try that, now I press the use key, nothing happens. But if I switch to this one, then I can talk to it. So that's a step in the right direction, blah, blah, blah. And then I must somehow make it so that you can use items with, like, certain items should be usable with certain things, right? Haven't really figured that part out yet. What's the best way to do that? But at least we got that in there. Yeah. Let's have a look at how to do that. Okay. So say it says use item here. Then your player action will say which item is it. Okay. Then we must somehow know that this entity can be used with that item. And maybe the items also have, like, you know, if you try to use it with something where that's not compatible, the character will say something, you know, classic adventure game stuff like I can mallet that or something. Yeah. So then the question is, how do I connect those two things? That's a good question. The entity should somehow say that you can use, like, you can use these items with this entity, and then there is code that decides sort of what happens when you do that. I can actually do something like this for now. NPC subtype, and call this one flower tree. Let's compile, see if there's any errors. What's this stuff? Ah, this is in the game update code. What's it called? Flower tree. Shouldn't do anything. However, here we need to say that the subtype is dot flower tree here. So now we know that, oh, there's a cloud coming in here. It's a cloud coming from very far away, and it has currently the same color as these things, so it just looks a bit weird. Reset it. Yeah, so this is a funny side effect right now. It's like it's trying to talk to the cloud, but that might be funny. Like, you can try to talk to everything in the world, and only things with faces is actually things you can talk to. But then we'll have an action that's like pick up, and when you pick something up, it will end up in your inventory. Wonder I can probably do something slightly funny here. Like so that when you try to do this, it says something. So in case the thing does not have a dialogue, you can still try to talk to it. Let's see what happens. Is this thing even used? Yes, it is. So what we're gonna do is I'm gonna go here, and I'm gonna also wait. I realized something. I'm gonna turn on. I realize I don't have this on. The suppressor. Okay. Then we have a single line. So what I want to do here is that you can just say so currently this interaction dialogue stuff, it uses a dialogue, which is this whole dialogue editor here. You choose one of these, but now I just want to say a single line. I want to define that from code. So we'll do that instead in this case. Put it up, put it down here. Interaction dialogue. So then, in this case, here, should be like, say single line. Gman dot controlled entity. It's the controlled entity that says it, and you say hi. Can I maybe somehow make it use like yeah, maybe I can do something like this. Not sure. I think that might work. So I say the name of the enum just so it gets something. It's just to get something funny in there for now. What more does it need? That's all it needs. So we make this function called say single line. And it's said by this entity here. And there's a line, which is some string. Do like that. We need to clone that string because we need it over several frames. So it will be deallocated later. Don't need any of this. This is just for finding the start node of this is just for making the start node of getting the start node of the dialog tree. So the dialog tree has like this node which says where to start. But now I'm just making a single line, like one of things that doesn't use the dialog system, that doesn't use the dialog graphs, sort of. Hello, Hazmat. Yeah, I'm making this little 2D side-scroller adventure game. I guess it's sort of like maybe similar to old point-and-click adventure games, but it's sort of 2D side-scroller, and it's supposed to have a sort of whimsical story going. And it's sort of supposed to be a bit of a have some narrative focus, but also have a sort of whimsical world where you end up in places you don't really expect. It's supposed to just be a short game. I just want to make something that I can finish instead of making the biggest game ever. And right now, I'm trying to redo my whole interaction system, essentially. I want it to be possible to talk to this tree here, and then I want to be able to like pick things up. And since you can now suddenly talk to random items in the world, since that's possible, I want to make it so that the cat just here says funny things in that case. It's so you're asking if it's a passion or a practice project. Both, because I was trying to figure out what I can make that is something I can actually. I usually work like historically. I've made game engines and stuff. I worked professionally with making game engines, and I worked a bit as a gameplay programmer, but I never made anything myself. But I always wanted to, so I'm just trying to make something that I think sounds fun, but also is not huge, because there's all these people who are like, oh, I'm gonna just make a game, and then they end up trying to make something that takes several years to finish. So that's why I'm trying to go for simple graphics, short game, but make it like a short, interesting experience rather than like have the most amount of game hours. And then I just probably put it up for sale for a some cheap money because it's short. And because I'm not planning to make it forever. Okay. Yeah, so I was doing so I can talk to my mallet. So I can say, hi mallet, or something stupid like that. Okay. So we've made a dialogue. We say now it should use this single line, which is the line I have put here. So then I need to do something like this. Say that this is the current active interaction, is this dialogue thing. This stuff I don't need. I don't think I need any of this. Yeah, so you're saying that most people make a big project that they either never finish or it takes a really long time. I don't I have nothing against that, you know. I like when people have these crazy projects that go on forever and suddenly it's Dwarf Fortress or something. But I have a hard time. I tried to focus on doing this for a bit so I can finish something, uh, rather than having to have like a side, like otherwise you have to have a job on the side. Like otherwise you have to have your job and do this on the side. So currently I'm just trying to spend a few months only doing this, and then we'll see what happens. Yeah, so today I'm trying to do. I have done NPC dialogue. I can talk to this tree and stuff. And I have a whole dialogue system in the editor here that I made. But now I'm trying to make it so that there's this interaction thing going on here. So you can pick things up in the world and you can choose if you want to talk or if you want to use items with things. Because before that there was no way. There was the only thing you could do was essentially talk to things or open doors essentially. So yeah, we'll see. This one should be true. Active interaction. Okay. So now it's trying to talk to this one, but it can't because I haven't written the other part, half of the code. No, it's not. Question is if it's in Unity. No, it's not. This is just Odin programming language with Raylib for rendering and stuff. So everything is like I just use this Raylib library for rendering and audio and stuff. But I've made everything else sort of myself. So I have made this little editor and stuff for editing my game data. Made a dialogue editor and stuff. And then the game is just Odin programming language code. Draw stuff with Raylib. That I think the reason I like doing stuff like that comes a bit from my engine programmer background. Like I worked with engine programming, and so I don't find those things too hard or too time consuming, given that you do them in. The important thing here is when you're not using an off-the-shelf engine, the important thing is to not try to make a general game engine and then use that for making a game. Just make a game and make just the tools you need along the way. Then it will be like 100 times faster than making. If you're supposed to make a whole your own sort of Unity game engine that's totally general. If you're trying to do that and then make a game, then you're never gonna make your game probably because you're stuck making a general game engine. But in my case, I just write the code for the game and for any tool I need when I need it. Okay, so what am I doing here? Yeah, so it can go into the dialogue now. Let's see where that code is. It is here. Okay, so we can do something like this. This is the dialogue tree stuff but if we can do like this, if we have the single line, so now I want to be like, okay, instead of using a dialogue tree, I have a single, what the hell did I call it? Dialogue called single line. If length of single line is more than 0, then we'll break here. The only thing I will do here is I will say draw line. I will say I.single line, and the person saying it will be the player, I think, currently. I'm talking with myself, essentially. So you say I.entity. That might work. Oh, I just also need to, this auto advance thing is so that it spends a set amount of time on the dialogue line, and then it auto advances, and I want to use that because it stops saying that eventually. Otherwise, the cat will say it. The cat will say it forever. Let's see. Also need to delete the I.single line. Yes, it's Odin Lang. You can Google it. It's like similar to C but modern. So it has like things like generics and many quality of life things that make the code not as, it makes the code more compact and easier to write. Now it says something. It says hi, 0 talk. Wait. I talk. Yeah, so this is wrong. Oh yeah, I'm very silly here. This is it would be very nice if the entities sort of had a name or some like. I can probably do a lot. I could probably generate whole dialogues or something here, but I just want to do something quick here. Because the thing you're looking at is just an entity. Right. Let's just do something like this. Give it a name. And we go to like if the thing has the length of the name more than 0. Otherwise we say something else. Otherwise we just say like I can't talk to that. In this case it says this is just to make it a bit funny that the silly cat is going around saying hi to inanimate things. Yeah, I gotta collision with some other things. I use the name, the field name. I'm supposed to call this thing. It's maybe it can just be a default. We can have two things. It has like an examine text. Let's try that. And in that case, I just send the whole examine text in. Oh. I can't talk to that. No, I know. It's terrible. So then, when I enable my mallet, then I can say e.examine text equals oh yeah, I need to reset the game. Because that data is initialized. It's a wooden mallet, it says now. Of course, a bit weird that I was thinking more maybe that it should be like you try to talk to it because it's silly. Now it sort of became more of an inspection thing, I guess. Yeah. Hello, John. Thank you. Okay. Now I need some way to pick this up. So I think that's gonna be... I don't really have an official name for it yet. I can send you a link to the Twitter account. Maybe, yeah, I think that link should work. Now I need to be able to pick this one up, I think. That's what I should add. So we go to player action. And we use to pick up. Then there would be a few. Hazmat asks, what if you try to make an item type and then use that? So this is already an item. So this entity is of type pickup. So I'm just adding a type of interaction here that is pickup, and then it will check, is this a pickup? If yes, then it will just put this into my inventory and it will all be fine. We'll be fine. Let's see. Nice. Was it nice?
You still streaming?
Yeah.
Oh.
It's a nice pile.
Yeah.
There is decluttering happening. Okay. So here's the pickup. So I can do something like this. Is if this thing is a pickup, then we go in here and then I think I have the old code down here for picking stuff up somewhere. Pickup item. Is it this? Yes. That should just work. Yeah, something like that. Go on with the compiler. This is, I need an icon for dot pickup. Get texture handle pickup item. I don't think I have any texture for that yet, so I need to make that. We need to go into a sprite. How big is this? Canvas size 8 by 8. So I should probably make an 8 by 8 icon. That's not a whole lot of pixels. I tried to make a cat paw. It's very hard when you have like 5 pixels. But bear in mind, all the art is... I'm trying to just... I messed up my palette. I'm trying to just make the game... the gameplay first. Pick up item icon. .talk.png. Pick up item icon. Okay, still don't have the pickup down here. I think that's because get all player actions need to add talk. We have pickup. What happened? I just generate this list of all the possible actions. Yeah, there you go. There's the icon I just made. Ah, it worked. I picked it up. No, but I can't pick up the tree. Yeah, this icon doesn't say anything, but thank you, John. I've done some work on the art. It needs. It's a bit noisy in some cases right now, so I need to make a second pass over the stuff that I think is nice. There's some stuff that's temporary and some stuff that I think is nice, but I think all of it might need some work. Anyways. maybe for now, yeah, do something slightly more. I will do like an arrow instead. I know the cat boy is cute, but it really doesn't tell me anything about what it is, because I don't. Apparently, I can't draw arrows anymore. Ah, I know why. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that's better. Pick up. Hello, Marcus. You're asking if... Yes, I'm one of the devs that worked on our machinery. The machinery. The company was our machinery. The engine was the machinery. Funny naming. No, you're asking if I'm allowed to talk about what happened to it or not. I am not. I'm not part of anything of whatever happened after what happened. I'm not part of it. I can say that, but I'm not allowed to say what happened to it. So you have to yeah. Have to try to figure it out yourself somehow, I guess. Okay, so now I can pick things up. I can talk. And then we can do funny things, like if you try to pick up something that's not possible to pick up. Like this, then the cat will just say, I can't pick that up. Now it should say that. There we go. That's good. Okay, now the question remains is, now I want to use this item with this tree. So it needs to detect that it's the correct, like it needs to detect that you're trying to use it with this one, and then lots of things have to happen. Because what's going to happen when you use this mallet with this tree is that all this white stuff, which is actually flour for making pancakes, is going to fall off and fall to the ground in a big pile. And the tree is going to be even sadder. But so we need some code here. But we need the reason I'm asking what I'm planning to do with that. So the game begins with, you go over to the squirrel and you talk to it and you say like, how are things? And it's like, quite good, about to get better because we're gonna make pancakes. Yes. However, I need help getting some ingredients. And then you like, okay, and it says I need butter, flour, and egg. And then there's like, this is just the first thing you do in the game just to learn your way around a bit. So the butter is in the squirrel's root cellar just behind you. So there's this door over here. And the squirrel is scared of everything, doesn't even want to go into its own root cellar. And flour, then it says from the flower tree to the west. And then there's a thing with an egg. And when you've collected this thing, then something very, very bizarre things happen, and your sort of little adventure is going in a sense. Currently, I can't open this door. Because there is no longer any use button. I'm thinking if the talk thingy should be both use and talk. I'm not sure. Eventually, you get to this weird state that old adventure games had, where there was like 16 verbs, and you just felt like they could have used 3 instead. That was a bit smarter, but instead it was like, oh, it's like there's like open, close, push. But I'm thinking it might be use, talk, pick up, and then there's all the items to use. But I'm not sure. It's easy to experiment with that anyways. So now I need to somehow make it so that I can use this item. How do I do that in a nice way? So Marcus Scepter asks if I prefer using Odin over Pure C. Yes, a lot. Odin is just trying to be a better C. It's not trying to, add too many new fancy concepts. It's just trying to fix the things that people usually found annoying with C. Where the main things might be like, in Odin there's generics. So you can make like both arrays of generics, and you can pass generic procedure arguments. And then the language in general is just a lot less what I usually refer to as boilerplatey. You get more done with less code, and there's no header files and stuff like that. And then there's just lots of tiny things that tended to annoy me in C, and it just categorically fixes many of those. So, and I recently made a video about a few things I like about Odin. I can link it in the chat. Or actually, you can go to the channel. It's the most recent video, like 5 reasons why I like Odin for game dev. And that video, in some sense, turned out to be a bit of some benefits with Odin compared to C. It's not all that, but some of it is a bit like that. Looking on my laptop here a bit. Yeah. Okay, so how do I... I've used Unity and stuff a lot. So in those cases, when you have something like this, I have the item, and then I would be like, okay, then I just throw a script onto my NPC with the tree here. And then maybe there's like some way to handle that you're trying to use an item on it, and then you do all that. I don't mind those workflows. I'm just writing everything from scratch. I haven't figured out all those workflows really. Because I mean, in an engine like Unity, you tend to make a lot of things. You tend to leverage the components for almost everything. Here you can do a bit more, slightly more whatever you want, but then you also can get a bit stuck trying to be like, what's the best way to do this? But let's see. I'm more and more doing like a big entity struct that has lots of things, so you get this very, I know Spelunky did this, I think, at the Spelunky 1, where all the objects in the game could have, I think Spelunky, I might be wrong, but there was some game, I think it was Spelunky that did this, where all the entities in the game had sort of everything on them, and you got lots of like emergent gameplay by, you could interact with things in ways that you didn't expect. Initially, everything was very rigid, and there was entity variants, and it was very rigid, like it has to be this one, and then you had to be very careful about what could interact with what. But I'm more and more moving to just moving lots of things into the entity struct. There's not that many entities in the game anyways. All the data could be on all the entities. It wouldn't matter. So I'm thinking that I maybe add to my entities a thing that is like, okay, you're trying to interact with me with an item, and then something happens. So maybe we do something like this. I have an idea here. Item use handler. Wait, is this what I want to be here? Like, if you use this item with me, then this thing happens. Yeah, that's what I want to do. So if you use, for example, the mallet with this entity, then this happens. It would be nice to just have some data that kind of can tie those things together somehow. Nice to have some data that ties those things together. But I don't want to have like a whole, I could have like a map of some enum to some other enum. But that's not very good. Have a map on there on every entity. No. Yeah, so the chat is saying that I was so angry because I was reading the chat. They say that they find string handling awkward in C. And in C++ it's a bit easier since you can have operator overloads and stuff on strings. I think Odin does a big, like a good in between. The strings, I can show a string. Strings are just actually maybe that's a built-in type that I can't see. Yeah, but a string is just a raw pointer and a length. That's it. And there are no operator overloads on strings, but there is a nice standard library where you can clone strings, and you can also, there's also like in the FMT package, you can do like string formats, which is similar to C. So you can do like a, I don't like the string streams in C++ because I think the syntax is weird and not very useful, but this is sort of like a print in C, so you can say like a format and some arguments, and it puts out a string. I think a nice thing about the Odin string is that it is just a raw pointer and a length, and constructing a string won't allocate memory unless you explicitly clone the string. In C++, you get lots of, because they do this kind of thing that's called resource acquisition is initialization, I think, which is that the string is responsible for its own memory and stuff. So if you just take a C string and create a C++ string from it, then it will actually clone that, and that creates lots of trouble in many code bases where it gets lots of memory allocations in the C++ string stuff, because they have this idea that the string itself must be responsible for its own memory. Here it's slightly more like C. You can do whatever you want. It's your job to make sure that the correct memory still lives when you want to use it. And you can just make a string from creating a string object never allocates any memory. Yeah. So yeah, in C++ you must like you have to read the docs to realize that the string will allocate memory when you initialize it from a C string. So if you take a C string like a char pointer and put it into a C++ string, then it will allocate memory. There is a thing called a string view that does not allocate memory that you can use. But in Odin, it's just one string thing, and you can make substrings by using the brackets, and that will just move the raw pointer and change the length without allocating any memory and all that. So yeah, I just think that the RAII, resource acquisition initialization in C++, that whole thing creates lots of unnecessary allocations, and I understand that they wanted that to make the language more safe, because C++ is not C with classes, but yeah, I just don't think I don't think it's an idea that makes people write better code in the end, because in the end you have problems with very big code bases doing lots of allocations in strings because it wasn't obvious to people using the like using C++ that, for example, creating a new string would cause allocations if you create it from a C string. So if you get like a C string from a Windows library, you get a char pointer, and then you throw it into a std string, then suddenly you allocated memory. And stuff like that. And then it's like, copy constructors and all like that. I think it would be better if C++ had like, if you want to make a new string, there is no constructor. There's a static function. This like string, std string dot clone from C string, and then that will allocate, and then you can also create one that does not allocate by using another static function where it's obvious from the name what it does. Like this one will allocate, this one won't. Okay, you're responsible. But again, they have this resource acquisition is initialization idea, and it's good that they have an idea and run with it. But I just don't think it's a very it doesn't make people write very efficient code in the end. It's just safe code, but for the wrong reasons. Like safe maybe in the wrong way. It's sort of like not trusting the programmer, and also making sure that you can still do very unsafe things in C++, but there's lots of things that tries to make you not do unsafe things. So then you just end up with this thing that will probably still crash in many cases, but they just covered up some of the things. I don't know. C++ is just this in between land that doesn't really help anyone, I think. Anyways, what was I doing before I was trying to figure out how to handle this stuff. So it would be nice if entities could be like, oh, what happens if you hit me with this thing? What happens if you hit me with this thing? So there's several things you can do. You can have like a function pointer. That is, you're trying to use an item on this, and then it has a handler for that. I sometimes have a bit of trouble with function pointers because I use lots of hot reload, and then those tend to no longer resolve to valid functions after a reload, which is sort of a downside, I guess. But also having lots of function pointers makes your code a bit harder to makes everything just jump around everywhere. So maybe I will do this. Use item handler with an enum. And then there's like a default. And use item handlers. Yeah, and then there's like a use I've done something like this before. It's like dialog. No, okay, I don't. Whatever. Use item. What's it called? Should I call this is like the. I'm gonna make a function pointer, but I'm gonna have a list of function pointers and an enum. Then sort of you can choose one of these. It's just an indirection to make sure my hot reload doesn't get sad. Use item handler proc is a procedure that takes an entity and then it takes a item which is currently called a pickup type. No, this I think this is how you I think you just do this actually. I don't do this. This is just defining that this is a kind of procedure, but I think that's how you do it. Use item handler, use item proc, and then we say default is, and then we say default item handler is a proc. See if that compiles. It did. Okay, that's good then. Then we can add one more here that's like, question is, then we make one explicit for the flower tree. Flower tree item. I don't know if this is the best idea to do this, but At least it's just simple and straightforward code. It's just if I get a lot of these, that like there's a lot of different cases, and then it's also a bit what's it called? It's a bit unemergent. It's not very emergent to have it like this. It's fun when you can just like say like, oh, this one is like this, and then it's like a big code blob that figure out how does different items work together with different things. Let's start like this just to get it going, and then maybe I'll change it later before I add too many cases here. If item is .mallet, well, we can just do this. We just return. The only thing we care about here is actually here we can do funny things, like we could do special dialogue for if you try to use another item. Then it can also give you hints, you know, it can be like, oh, you try to use the strawberry with the tree. That won't bring the flower down. You're just gonna make it smell like strawberries. Single line. So we do like this, a single line. Well, control entity. I can't use that with the tree. Like that. I returned, so nothing is happening. Let's just for now just say a line. It doesn't do anything. It just will say caps mallet time. So here, let's see. Here we can set on the entity. Item use handler is dot flower tree. Oh yeah, I'm not. This won't do anything yet because I'm not using that code yet. Use item. Here you go. Okay. So now we just need to do like handler is use item handlers, and then we take the item use handler. Good at use item handler. Item use handler. Can't we just use item handler? And this one has the form IIR and a.item. Pickup type. Let's try that. Ah. Actually, this is a bit dangerous. We should be like if handler is not nil. So it actually maps to a function. But it should always, yeah, default should be 0, so that should be fine. But mallet time. If you go to some other object and try to use the mallet on them. Just trying to find something I can interact with. Then he doesn't say anything. Why? Default item. Oh, because Now it should be possible to say, I can do that. I think when one is doing these kind of things, you start to understand why in some cases in adventure games there's all these specific lines. I think in Monkey Island you can be like try to use the shovel with random things, and he will often say stuff like, I can't dig that, daddy, and stuff. And you know, that's probably special cases in code like this, where like they probably have maybe defining data. And actually I can do something like this here. I can switch item, be like, I can take all these, blah. Have different lines. Do like this. Line is a string, and then we say here. Now we can make all these silly lines that you would see in Monkey Island. That doesn't need to get that's no door. And then we have the butter. Flour. I do not want. I don't want to mallet that. Very silly. Oh, yeah, dot in front of all these. None. Case. None. Line. This is a bug, because you should never have the item with item type none. I don't want to mallet that. Good. Good, 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 good. Mallet time. And then you can also do like this. If it's not the mallet, then we use the default one. So I don't have any other item on me right now, but I can put one out in the editor, like an egg. Put the egg over here. Save. Pick up egg. That would be rude. That would be rude. I can pick up the mallet. Now I have 2 mallets because I go into the editor. Then sometimes you come out of it and stuff has like half reset. Oh well, I think this is quite a good start. I will look into adding, like I need to do, what will happen here is at this point when it says mallet time right now, it needs to initiate a more complicated sequence where there might be an animation here where this cat actually smacks this with something, and these white puffs should fall down and fall on top of the cat and blah blah blah. So there's a whole animation with lots of moving parts. That's what I'm gonna do next time. But now I need to. I think I need to go look into dinner things. So I will end for today here. So you all have a nice evening and thanks for watching. And if you wanna like know when I stream, you can always go like join my Discord. I post there every time. And there you can also ask more in-depth things, or you can leave comments on these streams and videos and stuff if you want. Have any questions, especially if you want, like I often make videos about, like I made previously made when people ask questions that are too complicated to answer with another comment, then I sometimes make a video. You can also do that. Whatever you feel like. But have a nice evening or whatever time is where you are. Bye. Yeah, I need to